Welcome everyone back to Weekly Weather Updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the GFS, the GM, the ECMWF, the UK Met Office Run, the GFS and the ECMWF Ensembles, and we'll finish up with the UK Met Office 5-day precipitation and temperature. Now in yesterday's video we did have a look at the possibility of seeing some cold weather returning next week, and that has continued. It does look like we're going to have a pretty decent cold snap potentially during the middle of next week. Around Wednesday time we could be seeing some really quite potent northerly wind for the whole of the British Isles. It's only going to last maybe a couple days, maybe 2-3 days at max, and after that it looks like we'll stay pretty chilly and a lot more seasonable with temperatures in around or slightly below average. So this milder weather we're seeing up in the next few days is going to be a little blip, and we're going to be returning to some chillier and maybe even colder conditions for next week. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow on Twitter as well, the link's in description. Also check out the membership that has now been announced and is now on the channel page. So if you want to become a channel member, it's $1.99. Do sign up for that if you want to, and of course buy me a coffee donations as well. Links for all that is in the description. So we do have a look at the latest GFS. You can see we do have southwesterly winds taking over at the moment, and we've seen our first really quite mild day of this, you could call it mini sort of heat wave towards the end of December and start of January. Now it's not been accompanied by any real pleasant weather, let's just say. It's been very cloudy, a lot of rain around, but the temperatures have been quite high. 15 degrees was reached in parts of the south, and that will continue over the next few days. Could be getting maybe to 16 degrees by the end of this working week into the weekend. Now those southwesterly winds are going to continue as we have this Euro high pumping warm air up from the south and southwest. Now from the southwest for the UK, which means it's more of a moist air mass, which is going to mean we're going to have seeing weather fronts push through, rain and a lot of cloud at times. As I said, it's not going to be particularly pleasant in terms of actual weather. The temperatures though will be quite high, in around 14-15 degrees in the day, and maybe dropping to only around 10 or 11 degrees at night. We could be seeing, of course, 20 degrees potentially in parts of Europe as well. But, as you can see towards the end of this weekend, it's going to be swept away by fresher air in off the Atlantic. But if you look to our north, you can see really quite bitterly cold areas sort of pooling around Iceland. And that area is going to be heading towards the UK by next Tuesday, Wednesday time. And you can see that bitterly cold air mass spread southwards to all of the British Isles. Really quite chilly. If we have a look at the United Kingdom, see around -8 degrees at 850 HP, which is cold enough for seeing snow really anywhere. However, as I said, it will only last a couple days. Look at 2-meter temperatures in and around freezing quite widely. The dew points as well below freezing, so any precipitation falling out of the sky will have the potential of being wintry. And if we go back to the European look, you can see that cold air mass does spread through. It's caused by this transient high pressure system that is trying to reach further northwards with amplification in the jet stream. But you can see big low pressure just towards northeast Canada and Greenland, and that's going to be forcing the jet stream a bit flatter, and it's going to flatten this high pressure. But if we go back to the air mass, you can see we stay in the cold air mass for a good few days. Even though high pressure does topple and we sort of cut off any shower risk, it does stay pretty chilly all the way to around Thursday. So Tuesday to Thursday, it looks pretty chilly indeed. And then we go into a sort of cold zonality. Now, cold zonality is not too unusual, but if you are a wintry weather fan, you want snow, this is sort of the next best thing you can get. Apart from, of course, blocking and colder weather in from the north or east. It's sort of the next best thing, as I said. Northwesterly winds, feeling cold, moist air masses off the North Atlantic will be very showery and pretty chilly, but normally only delivers any wintry precipitation to higher ground because it does pick up a lot of moisture, increases the dew points. And of course, warmer oceans in around sort of 8, 9, 10 degrees this time of year does warm up the temperatures towards the surface. So it does mean that long sea track, even though the upper air temperatures are really quite cold and the general air mass is cold, towards the surface it's normally temperatures around, or maybe just a touch below average. So it's chilly, but I wouldn't say bitterly cold by any means. But we stay in a cold air mass generally, so it does mean it will, of course, be chilly, and at times we could see snow, especially over higher ground, and even to low-lying areas as well, if we do get these cold air masses to hang around. And that continues all the way through day 10. We still continue to have the upper air temperatures in and around that -5. Of course, there will be mild sectors moving through at times, but that could increase the chance of wintry precipitation over hills. Beyond that, we stay again in this northwesterly flow with colder air masses pushing through, and even there you see small little low pressure systems just to the south of this colder air mass could produce heavy snowfall on its northern edge, especially over hills. But as I said, the longer we stay in the colder air mass, the colder it will get towards the surface as well. And beyond that, we start to build high pressure in and start to bring a bit of a slack easterly wind in, but nothing too major at this stage. So you can see it's not a classic cold pattern. It's not going to be bitterly cold everywhere. At times, it does look likely, especially even next week, it'll be bitterly cold, but not sort of a classic northerly or easterly, but still really chilly. And as I said, the next best thing could be very, very snowy as well over the Scottish mountains. If we do have a look at the total snow depth, you can see potentially 30, 40, 50 centimetres of snow at times over the Scottish mountains, as they are favoured with the northwesterly wind. So it's something interesting to watch over the next few weeks. It will give us plenty of opportunities for some wintry weather, especially of course with this northerly next week. It looks pretty bang on now, and it could produce some wintry weather, and of course with the northwesterly cold zonality we could still see some wintry weather at times. So we do have a look at the GM, see how that does compare. Of course, small shuttle shifts in the exact wind direction can make big differences. Shortening that sea track with it being more of a northwesterly can increase the cold towards the surface, lower the freezing level, for example. So we have to keep an eye on how it does evolve. And you can see, of course, very mild over the next few days. But as that low clears eventually, we do pull in that much colder air mass. Again, not quite as sharp of a northerly as we're seeing on the GFS, but still pulls through that very cold air mass for a period of time, and then high pressure starts to build in. But because of the stronger jet stream, as I said, because of that real cold air and real low height towards northeast Canada, we do see the jet stream push back through, and you can see those colder sectors of the polar maritime air mass coming in from the northwest, and we continue with that, and towards day 10 you can see actually some quite vigorous low pressure systems are potentially starting to develop with this sort of amplified jet stream. Towards day 10, GM would probably go more of a flat westerly with this low pressure exiting out of northeast Canada, but at least for a period of time up until day 10 is looking generally northwesterly, which is a chilly direction. Of course, things can change, but at this stage we're not seeing any massive hints of huge blocking. The blocking we are seeing is the other side of the pole, which is forcing the tropospheric polar vortex to our side of the pole, which is fueling these northwesterly winds with the much colder air filtering through into the North Atlantic. And that's why we're seeing this cold zonality, because of the blocking on the other side of the pole. But of course, towards mid-month, we could be seeing this blocking sort of move more towards the centre of the pole, and then it gives the potential for more sustained cold weather for the UK. But anyone at the moment saying it's going to be mild for the rest of January is not looking at the latest data. The latest data does not suggest it's going to be mild for the rest of January. Definitely does suggest over the next week or two, if you move beyond the next few days, it's looking pretty chilly with temperatures around or maybe slightly below average. Now, if we do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, south to southwesterly winds over the next few days, but as we head towards the start of next week, you can see that real quite cold northerly wind move through. Then we see high pressure trying to ridge in, and then we see that sort of northwesterly flow with colder air masses moving in off the North Atlantic. Bit more mild sectors mixing in there with the jet stream shifted, potentially a bit more of a flat westerly than northwesterly, but still At day 10, you can see colder areas filtering in off the Atlantic, and as I said, it would be primed for colder weather, especially further northwards and westwards, and again over the higher ground. Those areas could be seeing a lot of snow over the next few weeks. For low-lying areas in the south and the east, it's not a classic snow setup, but I did say yesterday, if we have a look back at January 2019, which saw a similar pattern to this, we did see quite a few snow sort of events there. Wasn't massively sustained cold. We had a good week or two where we had fluctuating colder and sort of average conditions, and we saw some decent snowfall there. Not classic events by any means, but it was chilly and it did produce some wintry potential. So not all hope is lost, just it's more probably favoured for the north and west with this sort of pattern. We've just got to keep an eye really at what happens over the next few weeks with exact orientation and how much of this cold air filters into the North Atlantic, and of course how long the sea track is. Now, if we have a look at the UKMS office run, again, only goes up to 168 hours for the next week, but it's very good when we have a scenario like this with this sort of northerly wind where subtle shifts could alter the amount of cold air we get. It's good to have a look at the UKMS office run, of course, one of the, probably the highest regarded model. So what it is showing over the next week, and you can see southwesterly winds over the next few days, and then we see that really quite potent northerly wind. Really direct. I mean, that would be producing quite a few snow showers, especially in the north, and with this low just out in the North Sea, could be seeing snow down the east coast as well. And we see that northerly wind maintain all the way up to 168 hours. We do see quite a large milder sector. The other models have a smaller milder sector, so not developing this low as much. And that would move in, potentially bringing some transient snow, but some milder conditions. And as I said, I'd expect this sort of northwesterly pattern. You can already see that northwesterly wind developing just to the south of Greenland, and that would be coming into the UK given another couple days. So generally along the lines of the other models, again, there will be subtle shifts in the models, of course, beyond day 7, but they all are generally trending along a jet stream coming in from the northwest direction. Chilly, seasonable, nothing massively cold, but of course, in the UK, we don't actually need it to be that cold to be getting snow, especially over high ground in the north. A couple of degrees below average will do sufficiently for snow, and that's looking quite likely over the next few weeks to be seeing temperatures at least up until day 7, day 10, to be around or below average. So if we do have a look at the GFS Ensembles, which shows this really quite well. Now, it's only updated out until around the 9th of January, so we've only got out to around day 12, day 13, but there's no real point looking further beyond that at this stage because of the uncertainty. You can see really quite mild at the moment, good 5+ degrees above average. And then we see a slow drop around 3rd or 4th next week, so to around Tuesday time we start to see it trend below average, and then we see that big drop off as we see that northerly wind come in. You can see the majority of the ensemble members go around -5 or lower. You see the operational run there, good 2 or 3 day cold spell, and the operational run is well amongst the other ensemble runs. So it was quite cold, the operational run, but it's by no means an outlier. It is in the midst of the ensemble runs. There are a couple milder runs, of course, and you'd expect that at around day 6, day 7, and hopefully those do get ironed out. But we can't discount them at this stage. But the last sort of 4, 5, 6 runs now have all shown the main cluster, main 2/3, 3/4, all around -5 at 850 HPA. Of course, they've got slightly different time frames and slightly different severity. Some going really into the freezer, maybe 3 or 4 of the ensemble members for a period of time. But it is looking pretty bang on. We'll see this northerly. And then, as I said, beyond that, temperatures stay around or below average. Generally, a couple go much milder, but those are sort of small milder sectors. The general pattern still is for pretty chilly conditions. You can see some actually stay really quite cold, keeping us on the colder side of the jet stream, and could be wintry for some. If we have a look at the 2-metre temperatures, again, only update out to the 9th of January, but you can see, if we actually have a look at the 2-metre temperature and precipitation, you can see sort of by 4th, 5th of January next week, so by Tuesday, Wednesday time, temperatures will be around 6-7 degrees, a bit of lingering milder temperatures there. But when that cold northerly wind really comes through, you can see the average is around 5 degrees, but once you factor out those milder outliers, it'd more be like 2-3 degrees, and staying around 4 or 5 degrees, which is around or a touch below average beyond that. So much more seasonable, would be plenty of frosts around, and some wintry potential as well. And if we do have a look at Glasgow, for example, you can see again really mild at the moment, and then dropping to around or just a couple of degrees above freezing, and then at 850 HPO temperature, really quite chilly with that northerly wind. And you can see much more defined here because, of course, Glasgow is going to be seeing this cold air faster than London, of course, so it is showing up a little bit better. And beyond that, temperatures are generally around or below average. Quite a lot of precipitation around, so could be some decent wintry potential there as well. Now, one thing also I want to have a look at is the ECMWF Ensembles. I want to go quickly through this as the video is getting a little bit long. If we go out briefly to day 7, you can see the very decent model consensus now across all 3 of these scenarios. It's all got high pressure in the middle to the North Atlantic, towards Iceland, and a northerly wind coming in. Slightly different shifts in exact orientation depending on the time frame, of course. Out to day 10, you can see they're all broadly following a similar pattern. We have 52.9% going for high pressure in the North Atlantic, northwesterly winds coming out of South Greenland, chilly of course, not massively cold of course, and could be quite wintry in the north. We've got another 24 or 47.5% with higher pressure towards the south. This would push the jet stream a bit further northwards and bring milder sectors in the south. And that was those milder runs we were seeing on the GFS Ensembles, with milder sectors in the south but still quite chilly in the north. So that's something we could see in the longer term, mild sectors trying to push up from the south. But the majority of the run and of the operational runs are keeping that cold air for quite a lot of the next couple of weeks. Of course, there will be milder sectors, but those 24 would be bringing up quite big milder sectors with higher pressure towards Europe. If we move to 300 hours, you can see patterns starting to sort of shift. We see 33.3%, so you can see they're all evenly divided here between these 3 scenarios, are more of a flat westerly wind. That would be milder with the air originating out of northeast Canada. As I said, it will still be cold air out of northeast Canada, but you can see the sea track is much longer, so it would be milder towards the surface. Another 17 have air originating from Greenland, so very similar to what we'll be seeing towards the end of next week with northwesterly winds. And of course these things can change, but that's looking like the most likely scenario. And then we have another 33.3% with a bit of a interesting scenario coming up. Still a lot of low pressure towards Greenland, low pressure diving to our southeast. That would start to pull in an easterly wind, and we've got high pressure towards Scandinavia as well, and that would start to turn things chilly. We have seen a consistent signal over the last week probably, of a Scandinavian high right towards the end of the runs, but nothing major has come of it yet. So still seeing that potentially towards the end, but nothing too crazy at this stage. And again, evenly split, westerly winds coming out from northeast Canada, another 32.3% of air originating more from Greenland with those low heights further southwards, and then a big Scandinavian high on another 33.3%. Very interesting, that's showing up. So 3 distinct scenarios towards the end of the run, 2 quite similar, and of course the Scandinavian high, which would turn things much, much colder towards the middle of January. But at this stage, I don't think there's a lot of support. Now, if we finally do finish up our look at the UKMO run, we'll go through this quite quickly. There's nothing too eventful happening over the next 5 days, just really quite mild and a lot of weather fronts and areas of rain moving through. Now, if we skip to this evening, you can see showers are heading into the southwest over the course of tonight into tomorrow, and those showers and periods of rain are just going to continue for the early hours. And by sort of tomorrow morning, slowly starting to peter away, and by the afternoon we're starting to see a weather front push into parts of Southern Ireland, parts of Wales, as we have that wind direction going more south to southwesterly. Weather fronts continue pushing up from the north. It could be quite a miserable evening on Thursday for many in Ireland and parts of northern England, Wales and the southwest, and another weather front pushes through early hours of Friday, continuing with a lot of rain in the north, and eventually things clear through Friday afternoon. By Saturday early morning, so to start the new year, early hours, rain pushing through, but during the morning, we're seeing bit more rain pushed through, but no massive weather fronts. And by the afternoon, a few showers in the north, maybe in the far southeast, but could be seeing some sunshine potentially there through central areas and maybe parts of Ireland as well. So not looking too bad for New Year's Day. And then by Sunday, again, does look like the UKMO has been having issues, but we're going to be seeing another vigorous low pressure system move up from the southwest and producing some more precipitation. The UKMO run has been playing up a little bit over the last few days, not loading every single sort of every 3 hours. So yeah, we'll have to see what if they do get that sorted out. Hopefully they do over the next few days. But you can still see the general outlook of a lot of precipitation moving up from the southwest. If we have a look at max temperatures, you can see today got up to around 15 degrees in the London area, forecasted around 14, so pretty accurate there. Overnight temperature is going to stay in the low teens, especially in the south, 12, 13 degrees possible, and by tomorrow afternoon, we could be seeing temperatures, once again, 13, 14, maybe 15 degrees, and even in the north, 7 or 8 degrees over higher ground, where we generally are expecting temperatures to be around freezing this time of year, so yeah, truly exceptional. And by Friday afternoon, we're seeing temperatures once again, getting up to around 13, 14 degrees, and by New Year's Day, sorry about this trouble with the charts, again 14, 15 degrees, and by Sunday, temperatures slowly dropping in from the northwest as a cooler air mass starts to move through, maybe only 8 or 9 degrees in the north, so chillier conditions coming through, but it will be getting much, much colder for next week. So we've got to keep all eyes on that, of course. So yeah, very mild weather over the next few days. And then it's turning much colder towards the beginning or middle of the next working week. And then we generally go into a quite chilly northwesterly pattern. Now, of course, there is still a lot of change with this, but most of the ensemble members and models are pretty consistent now with this pattern. So hopefully we're getting to a stage now where we can trust the models again out to sort of day 7 to a certain extent. Because I know a lot of people in the comments have been very sceptical of the models, not really saying they'll be looking at them beyond day 3. But of course, whatever happened in December, of course, with that colder weather flipping before Christmas, that very much was sort of a rare occasion. I hope we don't see that again, because the model should be reasonably reliable around day 5 for details, or at least exact or rough details, let's just say, because some things are very difficult to forecast even more than a day out. And of course, day 7 general patterns are pretty reliable. So again, we'll have to see what happens, but hopefully you don't see any massive flips, because the weather coming up over the next couple of weeks doesn't look too bad if you're looking for some wintry weather, especially further northwards and westwards. Not a classic cold spell by any means, but as I said, it's the next best thing, really. Tomorrow we'll be having a look potentially at the stratosphere, and in our first video tomorrow, or 2 videos hopefully tomorrow, and we'll look at the stratosphere because there is hints of a stratospheric warming taking place over the next few weeks. A lot of conflicting views between the models, so I'll be doing a video on that. I have been holding off for the last few days because I did see the hints of this a good 5 days ago, but I didn't really want to say anything on it until more of the ensemble members and it's consistent within the GFS, of course. So we'll have a look at that over tomorrow morning, and then we'll have a look again at the next few weeks in the evening. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.